So the Carolina Panthers get to kick off our Week 10 power rankings, start at number 32. They got a break from being at number 32 and moved them up 3 spots, and they're just moved down 3 spots once again. They had a nice little win over the Texans, but then this weekend they're at home versus Indianapolis, a very bad defense. It's another chance for the Carolina Panthers offense to get going, for Bryce Young to get it figured out. And, credit to Bryce Young. His situation is not good. His play callers are not good. His head coach is not great. And we saw that. It was evident on Sunday. Not a good look. You play one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL, one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and, in general, they're not, Colts don't have a very good defense all in all. But the Panthers really struggled to get anything going. You throw 2 pick-sixes. If you don't throw two pick-sixes, that game is a lot closer. And that's that. But I will say they did a very good job at stopping the run, because the Colts are one of the better running teams, and the Panthers did a very good job at keeping that calm. So, but yeah, they had a break from 32 for about a week. They're back down here at last place. Then you have the Arizona Cardinals at 31. So the Cardinals, man, it's just they started the season off playing much better than we thought they would. Their defense was playing good. Joshua Dobbs was playing really well, but then the Joshua Dobbs experiment kind of came to a halt, and then he was traded to the Minnesota, of course. But yeah, they're moving down 1 spot. Didn't play good at all. They were shut out. It was 27-0. You can maybe argue that they should be at 32. But they do have a couple of nice ones under their belt. The Panthers, they have one win somehow, but really, the Cardinals, man, I don't see it. They've been horrible. They've really taken a step back since the beginning of the season. They'll play everyone hard. They'll play everyone tough. They're not just a walkover easy win for everyone. But the Browns, having Deshaun Watson back, playing with a really good quarterback, they really just dominated and took control of that game like it was nothing. The Cardinals, really disappointing, really embarrassing loss to the Cleveland Browns, in which a lot of people thought that game could be closer, just because, the pure defenses, how is Deshaun Watson going to look? Watson looked really good. The run game looked really good. And, on top of that, the Cardinals team just did not look good at all. Number 30, the New York Giants, they moved down 2 spots. Oh, what a painful, painful game. You get killed, and on top of that, you lose Daniel Jones for the season with an ACL tear. It's just not good for the Giants right now. Like I've said, they're very predictable on defense and offense. The offensive line can't block anyone. The receivers can't get open, and it's been the same thing all year long. There's nothing different about them than week 1 to now. They're the same football team. Will they move on from Daniel Jones this offseason? Should they? I think they're going to keep him and use him to mentor a young quarterback next year. You might as well use all that money that you got from him for something, for something useful for the future, maybe, in terms of helping a young quarterback learn, letting him learn the playbook before throwing him in there. It really depends on how your offensive line is playing too, because you don't want your young quarterback getting beat up so much. So, but yeah, they're really looking towards the draft. All these teams towards the bottom here, 26-32, they're all saying, "Hey, let's just get to the draft, man. Let's get to next year." But yeah, Giants down here at number 30. Number 29, yeah, the Las Vegas Raiders, man. Really impressive win over the Giants. Really just beat them up. The offense looked really good. And, that's another thing about the Giants. We thought their defense was starting to come alive, and they really struggled yesterday. And there's so much a defense can do, really. But, the Giants throwing so many interceptions. But let's give credit to the Raiders' defense, getting a couple turnovers, getting the job done, only allowing 6 points. And I believe, they scored 28 points? I think they scored 28. Or, even if they score more, that is definitely 100% their season high. Jacoby Myers had himself a nice game. We usually see it when a head coach gets fired. That team that fired the head coach usually comes out and plays really well. It's just, a breath of fresh air probably, and they're like, hey, let's go play a good game out there. It's just a breath of fresh air, and these teams tend to want to play a lot harder, and the players tend to actually want to go out there and play. So, really good game for the Raiders. Could they continue it? Probably not. It's probably a week after firing your head coach type of thing. We see it all the time. But nonetheless, a really impressive win, really dominated win, really. The defense got a couple of turnovers, which they have not done well all season long. But Max Crosby has been, he got after, that defensive line got after it. Really good game for the Raiders. Really nice to see, but not going to move them up too much. Hold your horses because it's one game. Number 28, New England Patriots. They move up 2 spots. Why did I move them up 2? No, they're down 2 spots. That's my fault. I put the wrong thing there. So the Patriots are down 2 spots from 26 to 28. They had a really, really bad game versus the Commanders. I mean, it was winnable. It was in reach. You couldn't do it. Mac Jones not looking good. This is another team that's just like, hey, let's get to the draft. It's Bill Belichick, and he's on the hot seat. But will they part ways with him? Probably, because as a franchise, you have to move forward. You can't look at the past. You got to look at now, what's happening now, what's happened since Tom Brady, and they haven't really been able to get anything going. And, Bill Belichick is the GM as well. So, it's his responsibility to get this team going, to get this team playing at a high level. And he's not doing it. They're playing very poorly. They find a way to lose to the Commanders. And you're down, you move down 2 spots to 28. 27, the Chicago Bears stayed put. Didn't really feel the need to move them down. I don't think they're better than I don't think they play better than the Packers, and I don't think they've played worse than the Patriots. I think this is a perfect spot for them. You put up a really close game versus the Saints there. Couldn't finish it, but we all know, the Bears aren't really a great football team. Their offensive line isn't great. Their defense isn't great. But yeah, the Panthers are stuck down here at 27, didn't really move. Number 26, the Green Bay Packers move up 7 spots. They are at 32. I think I may have overreacted a little bit by calling them the worst team in the league, but they're still not a great football team, but they did have a pretty good win versus the Rams, 20-3. That's a 3-score win. So you're gonna move up a bit, especially when you're having other teams down here. You could probably make the same case for the Raiders. But both teams are interesting there. Both teams have had their ups and downs, have had their really bad and good games. But you kind of also look at who they beat. I mean, you look at the Packers and they beat the Rams with the Brett Ripien, not even Matthew Stafford, but the Rams, they have a better defense, they have a better offense, and the Packers just have been a horrible football team. And I don't think other than the Raiders down here, we haven't seen one of these teams put together a dominating performance, a stifling performance. And the Packers just did that. So they're going to move to the top of that bunch. Number 25, the Tennessee Titans moved down 1 spot. Rough game versus the Steelers there. Had a tough time converting on 3rd down. Will Levis not really getting the job done. Although Will Levis was making some really nice throws, some really nice passes. If you notice, a lot of his passes are really high. Like, receivers always have to go up and get them, and it makes it difficult to, a routine catch. It makes it more difficult. It makes it a circus catch. You don't necessarily want that. You want a quarterback that's going to put it on the money, give your receiver to run after the catch. And, Will Levis, he's gotten it to the receiver, but it doesn't mean he's gotten it to him in the best spot possible to allow that receiver to make to make the catch as easy as possible, and try to lead him to a spot where he can run with the ball and not have to run and not have to stop for the ball. So yeah, they moved down 1 spot. It's a tough loss versus the Steelers. Who's not they've not been a great football team, but somehow they're 5-3. I don't think it'll last. They're the way the Steelers are playing football, it doesn't typically last. They will probably have. They probably won't. They probably won't. Have a great second half of the season. Definitely not as good as the first half. All right, next up, another AFC South foe. The Indianapolis Colts move up 1 spot versus the Carolina Panthers. Really good defensive performance. Really good Kenny Moore performance. Really, 2 pick sixes. DeForest Buckner had a day getting back there, getting a lot of sacks. Really, the defensive line got a lot of pressure on Bryce Young, which helped the defense, which helped both of the pick sixes. And then you had another interception. So Bryce Young with a 3 interception day, not good. But the Colts, let's not forget their offense is still really bad. And, if their defense didn't score 2 touchdowns there, the game would have been a lot closer. Although, you can't take it away from them. It's very impressive. But you also have to realize that in today's league, you can't rely on defensive touchdowns. And you played one of the worst offenses in the NFL. They've struggled, as a whole, is it all Bryce Young's fault? Absolutely not. The coaching is bad. Bryce Young is kind of set up for failure, and it's very unfortunate because he can be a very good quarterback, but he's kind of set up for failure. You're probably going to change head coaches this offseason, and if you change head coach, you're probably going to have a new offensive coordinator come in there, and Bryce Young is going to have to relearn, a whole new playbook all over again, and then it really stunts the development. So really hurts there, but nonetheless, the Colts defense had a really nice day, but the offense didn't look too good. I thought they would have been able to run the ball much better on the Carolina Panthers, but they didn't. They win, they move up one. Not gonna move them up too much because you gotta look at the situation and how they won the football game. All right, number 23, Denver Broncos, bye week. Don't move. They didn't need to move. Everything kind of fell accordingly. Number 22, the Atlanta Falcons, they moved down 2 spots. Really disappointing loss to the Minnesota Vikings there. Give the credit to Joshua Dobbs, but that Atlanta Falcons defense, they're supposed to win with their defense, especially in that big of a moment. But the defense struggling down the stretch of it, and you don't have tape on that Vikings offense. You don't have anything on it, especially with Joshua Dobbs, and it's a very different offense. You're not used to having to really, focus on the run game against the Vikings. But with Joshua Dobbs, that changes things. It's going to open things up for the run game. So in a sense, it kind of makes the Vikings better in some ways. But, it's still a very disappointing loss for the Falcons. Their defense couldn't finish it off. I thought Taylor Heineke played okay, didn't play great. Really couldn't get the run game going, which was a little concerning to me. Vikings aren't really good at stopping the run, and it's kind of interesting how the Falcons couldn't really get the run game going. They have two incredible running backs, a decent offensive line. I think Arthur Smith may be an issue. It seems like he says one thing, he does the opposite. So, coaching can maybe be an issue in Atlanta. But right now, they're moving down 2 spots. They're really hurting on quarterback play. So they're moving down 2 spots at 22. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, another really disappointing loss. Another team that really, counts on their defense, and their defense couldn't get it done in the most important moments at the end of the game. But give the props to C.J. Stroud, but the defense really struggled. They allowed Bryce Young to throw almost 450 passing yards. I think he set the record for passing yards in a game for a rookie. But C.J. Stroud does not look like a rookie. He looks like he's been in the league for 5, 6, 7 years, and he looks absolutely incredible. But very disappointing outing for the Bucs. I was really encouraged by the offensive performance, but figures the one game they get the offense going, the defense can't do their job. So it's a disappointing loss, but you did play a decent Texans football team. The Texans are a team I said in the beginning of the year that can be very sneaky. I love the Texans. I love what they have built, and I think people are going to start coming around it now. And I said it was very dependent on how C.J. Stroud plays. And look at the Texans. I was right. 20, Washington Commanders move up 2 spots. Good win over the Patriots. 2 pretty bad football teams going at it, and the Commanders find a way to come out on top. Sam Howell's looked really good. They're getting the run game going a little bit. Terry McLaurin made some really awesome plays in that game. But yeah, the Commanders move up 2 spots. I don't really know what else to say. You played a really bad Patriots team. They're stumbling. They're they're falling, or they've been falling. You win. Good stuff. Move up 2 spots. Jets moved on 1 spot. Ugh. I don't really understand what the Jets are doing, especially when they feel so calm when they're down multiple scores. Doesn't seem like they have any urgency, and that's kind of a coaching issue in my opinion. I know you have Zach Wilson, but I think at some point you have to try and take the leash off. You can't keep the leash on Zach Wilson. I know he has not played good, and he's not been a very good quarterback, but when you're down multiple scores, you have to go and take some chances. You have to, why are you letting the play clock go all the way down to like 1 or 2 seconds and then snapping the ball when you're down multiple scores? It doesn't make sense to me. So, is that a coaching issue? Are they trying to protect Zach Wilson? Are they trying to, be conservative because they know Zach Wilson isn't really capable? That's not a way to call a game. That's not the way to win a football game. The offense is supposed to go out there and win you the game. You can't blame the defense for that. If the team does, the offense has to go out there and win it. That's their job. The defense is to, keep a freaking course, keep them from scoring. But the offense is supposed to finish a game. The game is in the offense hands 100% all the time. And you're being too conservative. So they moved down one spot. They get really embarrassed. I mean, maybe they should have moved down more, but the way the board fell, I didn't feel it was necessary. Number 18, the Los Angeles Rams move up 2 spots. Why did I move them? No. I moved them down. See, I screwed up some of the graphics. I apologize, but the Rams moved down 2 spots, and really disappointing loss to the Packers. I know you didn't have Matthew Stafford, but still, the defense didn't look that great. They allowed 20 points. I mean, that's not horrible, but considering the circumstances of this game, not really too good. Only put 3 points on the board. You have weapons, even though you don't have Matthew Stafford. You have weapons. You have, some decent options in the running game. But it really goes to show when you have a bad offensive line, when you don't have a great football team, how much of a difference a top 5, a top 10 quarterback will make for your team. Matthew Stafford is a beast. He's awesome. He's great. He will get the job done. He will elevate your squad. And that's what he does when he's in there. The Rams are a much better team with him than without him, obviously. But, a very disappointing loss to the Packers. You lose by 3 scores, by 3 possessions. Very, very disappointing. The Rams move down 2 spots, not +2. That is my fault. I apologize. For 17, the New Orleans Saints moved down 2 spots. They won. They had a good game versus the Bears. It's just kind of the way the board fell here. I didn't feel like they should be above the Vikings nor the Steelers. Now, maybe you could argue the Steelers in a way, but the Steelers are winning. They're finding ways to win, even though I think they're pretenders. You kind of got to take it week by week because that's what power rankings are, especially when you do them weekly. But I think the Saints team will continue to rise. They've been a good football team. They've been putting up a lot of points. This offense is getting going. Can they, but then, defense struggled a little bit. It's fine, but, your defense, I feel like the defense could have done a bit better versus that kind of a team. The Tyson Bagent, he's looked really good, though. I've really liked what I've seen from Tyson Bagent, but really a decent win for the Saints there. A little closer than I would have liked, but nonetheless, they come away with the win. Good win. It's just, it's just the way the board fell, why they moved down 2 spots. It's not, it's rare when teams win, they move down. It usually happens a lot in the beginning of the season, or it's just the way that the power rankings fall. It's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Number 16, the Minnesota Vikings. Really good win over the Atlanta Falcons. You're without your starting quarterback. Jaren Hall goes down. You're having a guy come in that has been with the team for 4 or 5 days, if that. So very impressive. Joshua Dobbs brings a whole new element to this offense that the Vikings didn't have with Kirk Cousins. He brings a running ability. He brings a dual threat ability, and he's been a good quarterback as well. He's been throwing the football well. I think he looked a lot better in the Vikings than he looked in the last 2 weeks with the Cardinals. But no teams have film out on him in this offense, so that's a plus. We'll see how how Joshua Dobbs performs when teams have more film out on the offense and him playing in it. And don't forget, he hasn't been in this offense long. So it's still very impressive to see him come in and do what he did. It was very impressive. It was awesome. Great. The way he was running the football, the way he was throwing the football well. Big time at the end there. Clutch. He found a way to get it done, and he finds a way to convert some 3rd and longs, and that's one thing that the Vikings really struggled with. Watching out for Joshua Dobbs. I was really happy with what I saw the Vikings. With what I saw from the defense, it feels like it's getting better every week. The offense looks good with Joshua Dobbs. Will it continue? We'll see. Sometimes we see a really good performance 1 week, and then the next week it just doesn't continue. But I don't see why it couldn't. The Vikings have one of the best offense lines in the league. It is elite. It is a very good offense line. You have some very good receivers. Brandon Powell made a really nice catch at the end of that game. Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne, and maybe you'll get Justin Jefferson back, which would be a big plus. Really impressed by this Vikings team and the adversity that they have faced this season so far. What, they start 1-5, 1-4, 1-3, something like that. So it's really an impressive sight. It's really impressive to see what they're doing, and it's considering the circumstance that they've been given. So they'll move up 2 spots. 15, Pittsburgh Steelers. Like I've mentioned a few times in this video, I don't think the Steelers will stay this high, will remain up here at 15. I think this is a bit high for them, but we have to take it week by week. That is why I do this every single week. You win, you move up. You lose, you move down. Most of the time. Sometimes there's some funky things that happen and you move down even when you win, like the Saints. But the Steelers, they count on their defense to win them football games. Remember how we were talking about the Colts? And they just scored 2 pick sixes to win that game. Now, the Colts don't have as good of a defense as the Steelers. It's not consistent. It's not a good defense. But it's a prime example in specifically that Panthers and the Colts game. It's like the Steelers defense. They're going to make plays. They're going to they're going to force fumbles. They're going to get interceptions. The playmaking defense is a very good defense, but there's only so much, at the end of the day, the offense has to win games. If you can't consistently get the offense going, if the offense is that poor every week, the chances of you winning every single game will fall every single game. It's tough to go through a full season and win the way they are. I don't know if they could do it. If they could, impressive. Wow, they proved me wrong. But I don't know if it's going to last. And it's kind of a similar situation with the Seahawks, I guess. They're moving down 5 spots after getting blown out, dominated. Every aspect of the football game, they were dominated by the Baltimore Ravens. And they've been a very good defensive team. Offense has been inconsistent. Geno Smith has been inconsistent. I think Geno Smith is some of the problem. That the offensive line has not played really good either. So 14 and 15, the Seahawks and the Steelers, are they both pretenders? I think that's something to look into. I think that's something to keep an eye on over the next couple of weeks. Number 13, Houston Texans. Okay. I see you, CJ Stroud. I see you. 100% offensive rookie of the year. I don't see anyone else winning it over him. Hold on 1 second. Excuse me. But CJ Stroud, man. And this Texans team is getting going. It's a playmaking defense. I know they just allowed the Buccaneers to put the most points they have all season long. But it's a playmaking defense. They will get turnovers. They will get sacks. They will make plays. Will they always get stops? No. But I think the Texans can make a run here in the season, can make a run for the AFC South. The Jaguars have been inconsistent. They've been beating up on teams. They've been very fortunate in some football games. But we'll see if the Texans can keep it going. If they could, they could be inconsistent as we saw they lost to the Panthers. I think they were looking forward a little bit. I think they were looking past the Panthers. And that was very important for this young Texans team to learn and experience. So next week they come out offensively, and CJ Stroud has his best game yet of his rookie season. That's saying something. He's been phenomenal. He's been the best rookie quarterback without a doubt. This Texans team is going to make a run the second half of the season. This Texans team is going to shock a lot of people. As I said in the offseason, the Texans are going to be sneaky. That's why you listen to me. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I'm wrong. But I come from a place where I'm studying. I'm doing my homework. For the most part, there's some things where I do lack on, but I'm looking to improve them. The Texans, man, CJ Stroud is playing great. These weapons are getting open, and that was a good defense they played too. They played a darn good defense. And how many rookie quarterbacks would lead a game-winning drive that CJ Stroud did in that situation, in those circumstances? Who else? What other rookie quarterback could do that? Some quarterbacks are in the league 5, 6, 7 years couldn't do that. Yeah. Really good coaching. This team is at an all-time high. And I believe they're playing the Browns this weekend. Deshaun Watson, CJ Stroud. I'm excited. I can't wait for that game. Number 12, Buffalo Bills. They moved down 2 spots. This team has been very inconsistent. Josh Allen's inconsistent. Offensive line, inconsistent. Defense is beat up. This entire football team is inconsistent. Are they pretenders? I think the Dolphins are going to run away with the division. I don't see it in the Bills right now. They're really struggling. They really are. They're not playing great football. They just lost to the Bengals. They're having a hard time beating those teams. They beat the Dolphins up really well. But then you really struggled versus the Bengals. This is a team I'm going to keep a close eye on throughout the next couple weeks. They absolutely have the ability to be one of the most dominant football teams in the NFL, and we see those stretches. It feels like the Bills always have a stretch of the season where we're really doubting them. But they can never get done in the playoffs, so it kind of translates. The inconsistencies will not get you past the playoff teams consistently. Josh Allen has to find consistency. They're struggling to get the run game going. The offensive line is inconsistent. You have Stephon Diggs, but who's going to step up outside of him? Gabriel Davis is inconsistent. It's this entire team is so inconsistent when they're all on. Wow, that that team is great, but it's a matter of fact of who's going to be on and when. We on 2 spots. They lose to a Bengals football team who's been looking really good as well. Bengals are back, but where are the Bills? Tigers are preying on the Buffaloes. All right, number 11, Niners stay put. Hopefully they can come out of the bye week and get something going here. 3-game losing streak. Hopefully, they took a good long look in the mirror and look at themselves. 3-game losing streak. And they lost to teams that they should have probably beaten. Staying put. I didn't move them because they're on the bye. And I felt like the board fell perfectly around them, so they didn't have to move. Chargers. Move up 3 spots. They're here, baby. They're here. They're getting better every single week. Justin Herbert's finger is only getting better. It's only improving. He's only going to get better. I still don't like the coaching. I still don't like Brandon Staley. But the big thing with the Chargers is that they're stopping the run. That's been the difference. When you can stop the run and you could play offense the way they can, that's what's going to happen. That's the kind of football team you can be. You put up 27 versus the Jets team, which a lot of the big boys up top here have really struggled against. The Eagles lost to the Jets. The Jets beat the Bills. Gave the Chiefs a run for their money. The Jets team is sneaky. They have that good of a defense. They will try and keep it close. That's their game right now. It's either going to keep it close or you're going to blow them out. That's just how that's just who the Jets are. And the Chargers said, nah. Nope, not us. It's really nice to see. Really good to see. I hope the Chargers can make a big run here. I hope they can finally get that playoff one. I hope Justin Herbert can finally take them somewhere. Coaching is an issue, though. But the run defense is improving. The defense is improving as a whole. It's nice to see. Finally, getting to see the Chargers reach the potential that we've expected them to, heights that we've expected them to. They still have a long way to go, but it's a step in the right direction. Number 9, the Cleveland Browns. Dominating victory over the Cardinals. They have a good resume, too. They've beaten some good football teams. So, some games have been closer than they should have. Did a very good job versus the Niners. Beat the Niners. You smoked a sneaky Cardinals team. They're not a good football team. See, like the Texans and the Cardinals, they're different. They're different kinds of sneaky. The Texans are a good sneaky. The Cardinals are like a bad sneaky, if that makes sense. If you guys get what I'm trying to say. But the Browns, it's a nada. It's just like the Chargers said to the Jets. It's kind of a similar situation that because the Cardinals defense has played hard. The Cardinals are going to go and play everyone tough. We're going to try to anyways. But the Browns said They ran the football well. Deshaun Watson looked really good. Maybe it looks like hopefully he can get it going. I so hope so. If Deshaun Watson can get it going, if he get going by playoffs like even more, watch out. This Browns team can maybe play some spoiler. That's the beauty of the NFL, especially this year. There's so many teams that are in the race. Some that you would not have expected to be. Some that you did expect it to be. Typically, there are quite a few new teams in the playoffs every year. And that's exciting. You have the Dallas Cowboys. They moved down one spot. Tough game. Tough loss versus the Eagles. Tough loss. There were a couple drops. There were a couple of miscues in this game. And you were about 5 yards away from scoring a touchdown with CeeDee Lamb and winning the football game. But you had some penalties. You made some little mistakes. When you play really good football teams, that's going to be the result when that happens. Now the Eagles are in firm control of the NFC East. So the Cowboys need to go on a winning streak here. They need to continue winning. They need to hope the Eagles lose 1 or 2 before their next matchup. And the Cowboys have to continue winning if they want a chance at the East. But they struggled to get the run game going. Dak Prescott looked phenomenal. Really happy with what I saw from them, considering how they played the Niners. They looked like dog crap, considering how they've had some rough patches here and there. I think they showed us that they're here. I think the Cowboys showed us that they're not going anywhere. They're still a really darn good football team. There are a couple, there's a stretch there where I was saying the Cowboys are just a good football team. But I think they're starting to regain that mojo they had in the beginning of the season. I think they lost a little bit when they played the Niners. I think that game has actually made them better because they actually looked back at that game and looked at what they had to get better with. So they did a very good job. Cowboys moved down 1 spot. Dolphins, they moved down 2 spots. Tough game versus the Chiefs. You got to start winning some of these games that you play against some of your good opponents. You have to start because every single team in front of them have beaten the big boys. Dolphins have struggled. They beat up on bad teams, and at the end there, they made it close. They have to find a way to finish those games. In the first, they did a very good job bouncing back in the second half because the first half they were dominant. It was domination, offensively by the Chiefs and defensively by the Chiefs. So they're going to have to find a way to put full games together versus the big boys. Some very good football teams. If they could, they're looking good. But there's a lot of other teams right now that are beating some good football teams that look a little bit better. So it's up to the Dolphins. Are they going to stay put? Are they going to move up? Or are they going to move down? They have a great opportunity the way the Bills are looking right now to continue to win and take that division as theirs. But they need to get it figured out against those football teams. I think they will. They'll only be getting more healthy as the season goes on, because they've been beat up a little bit. But yeah, number 7, Dolphins moved on 2. Lions coming off the bye. No need to move them because they didn't play, and the way the board fell didn't feel necessary. The Bengals now, they're on a roll. What, they beat the Niners. They beat the Bills. They beat some really darn good football teams. The Bengals are here. They're here to stay. and they're going to continue winning. The Bengals never start the season off well. They always fool us, and we're always asking ourselves, are the Bengals good this year? Are they not going to pick it up? And eventually they do. But they will always lose to teams that they shouldn't do. That's just the kind of team they are. That's just who the Bengals are. But come playoff team, they're always one of the best teams. That's the difference between a lot of teams. Usually the best teams every single year, they get it going by playoffs. Some of them struggle in the beginning of the year, some of them struggle in the middle of the year. But the best teams, the well-coached teams, they get it figured out about, at the beginning of November, the middle of November. The Bengals already have it figured out. They're good. They're golden. There's a lot of teams that start off really well. And then, they tamper off by playoffs. We'll see. Number 4, the Jaguars at number 4. I still think the Jaguars aren't as good as number 4. But they've been winning. They are coming off the bye. And the way, kind of the way the board fell, the Jaguars moved down a spot. The Chiefs had a really good weekend versus the Dolphins. The defense is proving itself to be elite. I've been telling people, just because the Chiefs aren't the team they usually are, doesn't mean they're still not as good. They have a quarterback that can make huge plays every single week. He's going to give you a chance to win every single game. And when you have the defense that you do, they're just one play away. The Chiefs move up one spot. Eagles, number 2. So, my reason for the Eagles moving down one spot and not staying at 1, I really thought about it for a long time. Should they move the Eagles down? Is it warranted? Do the Baltimore Ravens deserve that spot? If you look at the resume, the Ravens have lost to teams like the Colts, like the Steelers. They've struggled a little bit versus teams they shouldn't have. But they're a completely different team now from when they were when they played the Colts and the Steelers. But back to the Eagles before we talk about the Ravens more. They've been a very good football team. They finally put together a very good game versus the Cowboys, which is a very good football team. Almost lost there. They got very fortunate that, with a couple situations, towards the end of the game. And, that's just the way it goes. You're playing a good football team, and they're going to make some mistakes. You're going to win. Their defense line is winning it, but we'll see. The Eagles are going to have to continue to play this way. They still have a tough stretch. We'll see what they can do. Number 1, this is the team right now. I think this team wants the AFC. The Baltimore Ravens. If you look at the teams in the top, let's see. They just manhandled the Seahawks. They manhandled the Lions. The Seahawks, they moved down 9 spots. So the 2 top 10 teams in the NFL, they smoked. They killed them. It wasn't even close. This Ravens team is only getting better. Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. They have great weapons. Odell is awesome. I know, maybe he's not what he was when he was with the Giants, maybe even the Rams. Odell still has some of the best hands in the league. Great route running. He's got some speed. When healthy and going and given, a good quarterback, Odell is an awesome receiver. He's a great receiver. And on top of that, Zay Flowers has been great. You have Mark Andrews at tight end. You have Rashad Bateman. Devin Duvernay. The offensive line is playing well. You have so many running backs that can make big plays at any moment. And then, the defensive side of things. The defense is just as dominant as the offense, which is scary. It's scary. The Ravens are looking every part of the best team in the NFL going into Week 10. And we'll see if they can keep it going, because we've seen them struggle versus teams they shouldn't have. The Cardinals the Cardinals game was maybe a little close, but when they play the best of the best, it has been fireworks for them and duds for the other team. So, and the Lions were number one at one point. I think when the Ravens played the Lions, I put them at number one prior to that game because the Lions were beating up on every team, playing really well, and I kind of want to give them a shot. It didn't last long because the Ravens said, "Nah, no, that's my spot." The Ravens are the number one team in the NFL right now for me. They're dominating very good football teams. The Lions are considered one of the better teams in the NFC. And maybe that kind of shows you how maybe weak the NFC is, maybe how top heavy it is. But there's a lot going on in the NFC. And the Seahawks, I'm kind of asking myself, are they pretenders? Because they play a great defense. But we talked about them like when we talked about the Steelers. The offense isn't consistent. The offense is not there. We'll see. But that is our power rankings for Week 10. I'd like to I would like you guys to let me know what you think. What do you agree with, disagree with, who's too high, who's too low. Remember, with all due respect, I don't care who your favorite team is. I don't care who my favorite team is. I'm a Colts fan. The Colts suck. They're horrible. I'm gonna be honest and give you my complete unbiased analysis on this. And this is where every team belongs. I like to say, I'm not the ones that put the teams where they belong, where they are. The teams put themselves at their spot. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where every fan is welcome. It's a great place to be. I hope you stick around. We do this every single week. We do our predictions every week. It's a great place to be, and you won't want to miss it. Join the Discord. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on so you can see future videos, lives, premieres. Hot Take Tuesday night. We have a little giveaway for tonight, a $25 gift card. And that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in. One last time, this is the JDW Sports Talk Show, signing off.